Hello everybody, Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. In this video, we're going to discuss Clayton Echard and the bracing for backlash that he speaks of with the upcoming fantasy suites happening. As we know, we've seen some of the previews. He's been, I guess, one of the more highly criticized leads of the show, not just from the audience, but from his castmates, the ladies that he has been dating. So we'll get into this story, but of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that there are so many bigger issues happening in the world right now, namely the Russian forces invading Ukraine. I'm not a political channel, I'm a commentary channel, and I'm a guy that just sees different issues and tries to tie them all together to try to make the world better today than it was yesterday, which seems very futile to my small but loyal audience of 52,000 and some change. But the one thing we can do when we see just atrocities playing out is try to remain kind to each other. Try to understand that there are big problems going out there, and it seems very foolish to be making videos like this, but that's what we do. We talk about this stupid show. We try to apply some social conversation to it, some political, some justice, some progressive conversation to what we see on TV. With that said, there are a number of our audience members that have family in Ukraine and in Russia and in other countries surrounding that area, and our thoughts and prayers go out to you. The saying thoughts and prayers is pretty foolish. We know after every school shooting or tragedy, we just see senators and politicians saying, sending our thoughts and prayers. But when you take away the sort of platitudes of what that is, the least we can all do is just understand we're all so similar in our genetics, in our what makes us all humans, and we're divided by these lines that exist in the sand that God or whatever creator we have never put there. We put them there with our egos and our fears and our sort of us versus them mentality, which we're going to see exist probably throughout time. Maybe there'll be a time when we all become enlightened and realize that wars don't need to happen, but there are bad forces that exist out there, and it's probably too early to unpack it all, but we just hope that for all the innocent victims that do exist in Russia and do exist obviously in Ukraine, that we just hope that everyone can be as safe and as possible, which is obviously not a situation as we watch it playing out. There isn't much else we can say about the topic other than it's quite clear that the world is condemning what's happening right now. And we're going to talk about it as things happen. And if you come to my channel to get no other news outside of Bachelor Nation, you already understand we don't operate in a vacuum. I don't possess the ability to narrowly focus on Clayton's what he does with his balls, right? It's some videos we have fun and irreverence, and some videos we get real. And it doesn't really matter what the topic of one video is or the next. We turn it on and we have these conversations because we're all sort of sharing a common journey, which is watching this show, but also watching the world play out as we see it. So anyway, it's rough. It's rough out there. I still have a stand-up comedy show tonight. I still go out there and try to bring whatever stupid levity or reverence I can to the conversation, and that's all we're going to do. With this conversation right here, tough transition, bracing for backlash. Now, I have to tell you, when it comes to Clayton, we need to understand. Like, people are already mad at what they haven't even watched on the screen yet. Let me get my Harry Potter wand. People are already mad. He's going to tell everyone he hooks up with them. This is insane. This guy's... Listen, you and I and a lot of people, just about everyone who's ever watched the show, other than a couple dozen folks, don't know what it's like to go through what he goes through. So I'm going to play the clip here. Clayton Echard is bracing himself for Bachelor backlash as fantasy suites approach. But also remember, just from a couple seasons ago, 2 seasons ago, we have Katie Thurston, reduced to rubble after her season. Some might say, oh, she was asking for it. She caused this drama. I don't think like I've said before, I don't think the wrecking ball ever stops at its target. It always goes too far. The audience always does more damage than good, I believe. Katie Thurston was forced to talk about her a situation of experimenting with women after being called out for queer baiting. She's been put into a scenario where she can't win, and she's probably lost 100,000 or so followers because of that, which is fine. I always say to Katie Thurston, listen, find your true followers. That's better for the algorithm anyway. No one wants some half-assed person. If you want to unfollow me because I make a video about Madison Pruitt, I'm sorry. If that's all it took, we weren't in this together in the first place. Here's what Katie has to say as she approaches a month of sort of self-reflecting.
Marks day one of a 31-day experiment that nobody asked for. Let me start by saying that it is February 22nd, 2022, and there is something about the number 22222 that just feels powerful, magical. I remember the moment I got a phone call to potentially be on The Bachelor, and it was 222. So I don't know, that number just really stands out for me as like a shift in life, a changing chapter. So yeah, I'm going to be starting a daily video diary, again, that nobody asked for. And what I'm realizing is if I did what people asked for, I would never win. I'm never going to be good enough for every single person. My sense of humor to one person is going to be cringe to another. My genuine and realness is going to be performative and annoying. So yeah, I think that's really held me back a lot. I've become a lot more introvert than I used to be, and I'm really lacking the social experience that I had before gaining such a large audience. And so I'm trying to get back to being myself, my truest self, and whoever wants to be there for that.
We do, Katie. Listen, do I have biases to what I think about Katie? Sure. Did I like her before I met her? Sure. Did I like her when we got Thai food last week? Absolutely. She's a kind soul. She truly is, and that's my opinion, having met her. What's so funny, though, is that people will still tell me, no, you got it all wrong, Dave. I'm sorry. I don't think so. I don't think when you don't know somebody, you get to say what you think about them. The show's highly edited, and even what you see on social media isn't all of what a person is. Contestants will make mistakes. Now, someone like Clayton, his season, I don't defend every action. Who cares what I think about it? But what you do say is, look, he filmed this in a vacuum. He tried the best with the information he has. As a self-proclaimed people pleaser, he probably made mistakes, which I know I've done in my own relationship with one fiance, that I've made mistakes trying to always be in a good mood, trying to always be in a certain place. I've withheld information because I didn't want to have tough conversations. Nothing serious, but that's what you do when you want everyone to be happy all the time. Sometimes you don't get real. So for Clayton to get real and tell everyone what he actually went through, probably worked in a way that he didn't expect it to, and he's just going to have to deal with those consequences. But like we said, there was a Reddit poll a couple days ago that said, who's more problematic, the audience or the contestants? And it was like about 70%, I believe, said the audience is more problematic. And that's true. Now, not everybody. I think our audience right here that we've cultivated is fantastic. I think for the most part, we hold each other to a high standard, but we give grace when we can't hit that standard. Understanding that we're all trying to get up the same rope ladder as the next guy, and we need to pull each other, push each other, and help each other up. That's progress. Not pushing people down because they failed to do it all on their own. So let's just see what Clayton has to say.
Get your roses ready. The new Bachelor Clayton Echard is telling us about finding.
You think, well, okay, I'm mentally mature enough to handle this. And then you get into it and you're like, how did I think I was going to be able to handle dating?
Oh boy. We lost it there. Hold on a second, folks.
You think, well, okay, I'm mentally mature enough to handle this. And then you get into it and you're like, how did I think I was going to be?
This background music's horrible.
Any woman at one time, I knew that I was like, you can work, you can make it through all this. Just stick it out, keep being yourself, and ultimately that you'll do what's best.
I'm just a Midwest guy from Missouri that just wants to find love.
I did find love, yeah. And as far as what that looks like, I think that's where everyone has to tune in and find out, because
these are old interviews. Get to the good stuff. Is this all recycled? All right, let's scrap what we have here. These are just old interviews here. All right, so some of the comments. There's more drama coming down the pipeline with a source saying he knows things could get worse for him over the next few weeks as fantasy suites come to play. Hey, guys, I cut that interview. I was excited to watch it. Sometimes I don't like to pre-watch something because then I can have the humor of watching it in real time with you, but that was garbage, so we're going to cut out of it. One can only assume what took place behind closed doors, but it seems those overnight stays had a major impact on the season finale. Clayton does indeed fall in love with multiple women, and many hearts are broken in ways we have really never seen before. So in anticipation of criticism, Clayton is turning to others for guidance. According to our source, Clayton is so concerned with how things will play out that he even reached out to former Bachelors Matt James and Nick Viall for the advice and support, which is no surprise he reached out to Nick. He just did his podcast, so clearly, that's going to happen. He told E! News in January that even the producers couldn't predict the direction the season would take. Viewers at home will see things this season that they've never seen in 20 years having watched The Bachelor. Sometimes those decisions to a lot of people at home may feel like they're sort of straying off the beaten path, but it's not as formulaic as what we've seen in recent seasons, but I think that's a little bit refreshing about him. And as the one who actually experienced this firsthand, Clayton asked for a bit of grace from viewers at home. You just don't know what to expect when you step into a role like this, and you think, well, okay, I'm mentally mature enough to handle this. How do I think I was going to be able to handle this, dating this many women at the same time? So, listen, Clayton, I'm no expert, but whatever we watch play out on screen, I'm excited to see. And I'm excited for the women tell all, the after the final rose, and what you do moving forward with your life. As I think a lot of people who watch this show know, we couldn't fathom being in that position. Is it tough for the women? Absolutely. But with the responsibility bearing on your shoulders, it must be incredibly tough to watch this all play out. As far as everyone overly criticizing Clayton, I think we need to remember that, listen, there's a lot of other issues going on in the world. Let's just watch this, like he said, simple guy from Missouri try to find love, and then we can apply whatever teachable moments to our own communities. I think we need to do a better job, and we've talked about this many times before, of just taking care of ourselves, making our own beds, taking care of our house, our own community, understanding that, we're just a product of who we surround ourselves by the media that we absorb, and just trying to be better in our own little pockets. We have so much rage that is existing online. I get it. We're hopefully at the end of a just really devastating pandemic, and we're literally approaching a third world war. I truly get it. Now, is it as simple to say that kindness and love can transcend all? Some might argue, but I understand that fear is a factor that plays right away into our limbic system, and we see things, we get triggered by seeing situations play out that are not ideal. It reminds us of our own heartbreak from our exes. All we can try to do is seek our own therapy, be better versions of ourselves, and that will spread onto others. And golly, do we need it more now than ever. All right, I just don't feel like playing my music today. That's just one of those days. It's rough out there. Be kind to each other. More content coming your way.